Hi guys! Today I am going to be showing you a project that I've been working on over the past couple of weeks, and I'm excited to finally share it. So I have been working on a zine, and I made it completely from scratch, completely handmade. I wanted a project that I could kind of work on over the course of a couple weeks and just have something to kind of work towards, and I wanted it to be like a physical project. I didn't want to design something that would be a postcard or something that I would have to get sent out to be made. I wanted to make something with my hands, and so I had been thinking about making a zine for a while, but not really knowing what I wanted to make or what kind of theme I wanted it to have. And I was listening to Fall Out Boy, as I do, and I just started remembering all of these different things that the songs reminded me of and different memories, and I started writing those down, and I eventually came up with this list of all of these different memories and these different things that I had done in my life with Fall Out Boy as the soundtrack, basically, and decided that that was going to be the focus of my zine. Now, as some of you guys may know, through, if you have discovered me through my sketchbook tours or things like that, I am/was a huge My Chemical Romance fan, so it might be, hey! So if any of you guys followed me since I posted my sketchbook tours, you may have known me as, more of a My Chemical Romance fan, but through it all, Fall Out Boy has really been my favorite of the emo bands. So I decided to make a zine. I didn't want it to be a zine about them as a band. I didn't want to be here is Patrick Stump and here's what he looks like and here's where he's from. That's not what I wanted to make it about. I wanted to make it about me. I wanted to make it personal. So it's really more of a zine about memories than it is about Fall Out Boy. I hope that despite you being a fan of them or not, you can still enjoy this zine that I made. Alright, so here is the final zine that I made. It is 5 inches by 7 inches. It's all black and white except for the cover, which is just printed on yellow paper. And yeah, I fully assembled them myself and cut them out and printed them and did everything. So yeah, you'll get to see the process, but I'm really happy with the way that they turned out, and yeah, it just feels very special and very fun. I haven't made a zine in a couple of years, and the first time I made one, I had it sent out to be printed, so I didn't print it myself. It was full color, but this time I wanted to do something a little different, so yeah, fully printed it, made it myself. The last thing before we get started on the process of making it was a little bit about the cover, and the cover was inspired by one of their songs, Bishop's Knife Trick, off the album Mania, and it's one of my favorite songs of theirs. I really love that album. I know it kind of got mixed reviews, and their newer stuff has mixed reviews. This isn't going to be me talking about old versus new Fall Out Boy. That's not what this is about. But I really love that song, and I liked a lot of the imagery in it, and so the title of the zine itself is As If the Time Had Never Passed. I wanted it to have kind of a nostalgic feel, and it's really me looking back at different memories, and so I wanted it to, yeah, have that kind of vibe. And then, so there's a broken hourglass on the front that comes from one of the lyrics in the song, and then there are also marigolds on it. They're just one of the flowers that I remember that we had outside my house when I was a little kid. And yeah, of course there were other flowers and stuff too, but those are just the ones that stand out to me the most in my memory. So I wanted to have a little tie back to childhood, or back to just simpler days. And yeah, so that's kind of the meaning of the cover. If you're what does this have to do with anything? Now you know. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into how I made this, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys can grab one of these. They come with a bunch of little extras too. I made some trading cards and some stickers to go with this. You can pick one up now. They are live in my Etsy shop, and I will leave that link in the thing. One other thing I forgot to mention is that I do also have digital versions of this zine available in my Etsy shop. So if the original version is a little more than you can spend right now, or you just prefer to have a digital copy, that is available as well. I will leave the link for everything in the description. The first thing I did when making the zine was the concept and writing. I had this list of things that I wanted to include, and I started sketching out ideas for pages or illustrations I knew for sure that I wanted. And I tried like 3 different things for the cover and just ended up with this broken hourglass design, and I'm really happy with it. I think it looks really good, and yeah, there were some sketches there for other ideas for the cover. And I will say I did consider Thanks for the Memories as the title, but I figured that was way too obvious. I also did a lot of planning on the size and shape of the zine at this point, so like lots of looking at Pinterest for inspiration, and I tried some more complex designs, but it just ended up being a little bit too much for me to make myself. I sketched out all of the pages next, and this required a lot of weird reference pictures from Google and like me taking pictures of myself with a timer. So that was like kind of funny. Like this picture of me walking in the hallway, I like set up my phone to take a picture of me walking like with that type of outfit on so I could get like the reference to what it looked like because I couldn't come up with that just out of my brain. Using reference is a very helpful thing. After that, I inked all the pages and I used my Pentel ink brush pen that I always use, and I love the like line quality and the textures that this pen creates. Like it's just gonna be my all-time favorite. I totally love it. Inking this book I think was one of the most fun parts of making it, and like it's pretty relaxing for the most part. I think the like traditional ink pen gives all of the illustrations a really handmade and unique look, and I did add some screen tone textures in Photoshop later on just to add a little more contrast. I really like that look in comic books with like black line work and then screen tones. They were just also some little details that were easier to add in Photoshop, so like white text over black and like just like little things like that that I needed to edit digitally. But I would say that 90% of all of the illustrations were traditional like ink work that I scanned in. I think my favorite page to work on was either the page with all of my t-shirts or the center spread with like the different venues. But yeah, I just had like a really fun time inking these. It was, yeah, like I said before, pretty relaxing. And then I did use another like tiny pen to get some of like the text or like handwritten parts. And like I don't even think I'll bother leaving the type of pen because it ended up smudging really bad. I really like using that pen for like journaling or taking notes, or like when I study, I like use that pen to take notes. Um, but for artwork, it smudges so easily, and I ended up smudging pretty much every single page that I used it on, and it was just really frustrating. So I like had to like re-edit things where I had used that pen. So like on like the Fall Out Boys for Lovers t-shirt and the like iPod, the last page that got smudged really bad. And I tried to remind myself like not to stick my hand in it after, but I did it anyway. So yeah. Um, if anybody has like a really nice dark black ink pen that doesn't smudge, like that's good for fine lines, please let me know, because I've tried a bunch of them and I haven't found the one. And I know a lot of artists struggle with that, but like I think everybody has their own preferences to what they think is a good pen, and yeah, this one was just not it for me. So I'm still looking for that perfect detail pen, but I haven't found one yet. And most of these pages, I had kind of an idea of what I wanted to do on them. I had like little thumbnail sketches for them and had a general idea of the layout. And then a couple of them, like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I just kind of like, I was like, I guess I'll just wing it and kind of see what happens. But yeah, on the first and last page, I wanted to have some kind of theme that tied them together. So, like, it felt like it started the book and wrapped up the book in the same kind of tone. And so I ended up using like the headphone cord as kind of like the repeated theme in each of them. So I have like just like that really thick cord that kind of loops around the page, and I really like how that ended up. They're like pretty simple pages, honestly, but I think um, I don't know, I really like them, and I really like the portrait that I did of myself on the first page too. I haven't done a self-portrait in a long time, so it was kind of fun to do that again. Those are all of the finished pages before I scanned them. And then after everything was scanned in and edited, I worked on a mock-up of the book, and I was really struggling to get the print layout right, and it had been a while since I'd used like page layout programs, so I was kind of rusty, and I ended up just like gluing the booklet together in the way that I wanted it to look so I could figure out like how the page layout was supposed to be for printing. Printing a booklet is really like difficult. You have to like print it in a totally weird way to get it to fit together right. So I originally wanted to print it on printer paper, but after I printed it out, just like the little sample, it was like so much bleeding onto the other pages, and yeah, I switched to cardstock eventually, but you'll see that in a little bit. Another thing that I had to do was buy a new stapler. I printed another mock-up and I realized my stapler was going to be too small to actually staple the booklets together. So I immediately went online and just ordered a large stapler. But yep. All right, so I printed out a mock-up on cardstock paper to see what that would look like, and it looked so much nicer than just the printer paper. I really had my heart set on just doing printer paper and having it be like easy, but the cardstock looked so much nicer and gave the book like a more professional feel. I still needed a couple final details for the inside cover, which I decided ultimately would look better handwritten than typed. I didn't have any other like digital typing in the book, so I thought it would be kind of weird to just have like digital typefaces in it when the whole book is handwritten. So I did end up handwriting the text for the inside and back cover. So after ages and ages of editing the layout, I got to printing, and my printer can't do double-sided pages automatically, so I had to babysit the printer and just sit there and like reload the pages once the first sides were printed. So it was pretty tedious, but I was able to like keep an eye on it and make sure nothing went wrong. Stuff did go wrong. I did mess up like 5 booklets worth and didn't realize I messed up the print settings till later. So yeah, it was kind of a good thing that I had to watch the printer. Assembly was next, so I stapled all of the books together first and then cut everything out with an X-Acto knife. And then the footage that you're seeing here is just me scoring down the middle of the pages so you could get a really nice like even fold. That's really important if you're like making a book by hand, otherwise if you just try to wing it, you get like a lot of creases. I cut everything out with an X-Acto knife, and it was actually really fun. You might be asking me, like, Amber, that's so much work. Why not just get them printed and cut out somewhere? Or why not just do, like, a full page book where you don't have to cut anything out? And, like, the answer to that is that I'm very rich in time and not money right now. So, getting books printed somewhere would cost me a lot of money and save me time, but the thing that I have is time, not money, so I figured I'd just do it myself. And as far as making the books like a 5x7 size, it's the size I wanted, and also I didn't have any larger envelopes. So for shipping them out, I would have had to buy new envelopes. So a lot of the reason that I made it 5x7 is because I only have 5x7 envelopes. So I created a lot more work instead of buying envelopes. So there were a million other steps that I couldn't record or I didn't include, including, but not limited to,
rescanning artwork, editing artwork, setting up the print file, setting up the print file again because I messed it up, reading a tutorial on booklet printing, waiting for a new stapler to arrive, going to Target because I ran out of paper, misprinting 5 copies, printing and cutting stickers, printing and cutting trading cards, editing social media posts, taking photos, editing Etsy product shots, editing this video,
and so on and so on and so on. But after all that work, we have arrived at the finished product. So now you have seen the complete process of what it looked like to make my zine, and this really is just the stuff that I managed to get on camera. There were a lot of clips that I lost because my phone was out of storage and it didn't tell me. stuff when like my battery died, things like that. So there's a lot that I missed, and there's a lot of little things that I didn't record, like going to Target to buy more paper, and when I misprinted a bunch of zines wrong and I had to throw them away. Stuff like that that I didn't get on camera, but this video was already long enough, so I just wanted to share the general process. I don't really think I could make this into like a tutorial if anyone's gonna ask that. This has been pretty much using all the skills that I learned in school, in college. I went for graphic design and illustration, so I learned a lot about printing and like file setup and like printing for press and things like that. So I don't really think I could condense that all down into a tutorial. If there's any specific questions you have, I'm happy to answer them in the comments. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like I said, I'm really excited to share this, and even if it's not going to be a super popular like product for my shop or get a lot of sales, I kind of don't care because it was a very personal project and I put a lot of like emotion into it and a lot of effort, and I really just treasure having one for myself. So I'm overall very proud of it, but I'm very excited to share it with you guys. So, hope you enjoy, and I will see you guys next time.